you niggas spoiling movies. Yeah. Brandon Collins, that's me, and Justin Brown for your movie needs. Medium popcorn. Woo! You haven't seen it, well, we're gonna spoil it. Spoil it in your face. That's your warning. So if you get pissed, it's all your fault. Woo-hoo. Woo-hoo.
What's up, little business sun-dried tomatoes? It's your boy Eddie Collins.
Guys, it's Justin Brown.
And we are Medium Popcorn, and we going to the West Coast, LA, Crips and Dose, South Central, baby. Written and directed by Stephen Milburn Anderson, produced by Oliver Stone, starring Glenn Plummer and Carl Lumbly. How you doing, Justin? You all right?
Brandon, that was so crazy.
So Glenn,
what you just did.
Glenn Plummer was in Showgirls. I was like, is this the dude from Showgirls?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. This movie was made in 1992. Had a budget of $4 million, grossed a little over 1.3 million, but has since been considered one of the best independent films of its time, as well as been heavily praised and widely critically acclaimed. I watched this movie and it felt very TV special-y.
I just thought it was trash.
Well, it's just a different, you know what it is? It's a different world.
Okay.
From where we come from. Because we are black guys that grew up in the suburbs. So West Coast, especially West Coast black culture, with like gangsters and shit, with gangs and stuff like this. I said gangsters. I think I'll never get it. Like, I obviously have worked with impoverished youth in both Michigan and New York and New Jersey, but it's just a different life. It's just a different way of life, even though they deal with similar challenges.
So it's weird because, in my times in on the West Coast, Los Angeles specifically, I feel like Los Angeles, while yes, is a major metropolitan city and all, it does feel kind of country.
Oh, there's parts of Inglewood where it definitely feels a little country.
I know that, like, obviously a lot of the black community come from the South and things like that, but like I felt like I felt like parts of Los Angeles, especially when I first went, I felt like, oh, this kind of feels like the South. And so it's like it's not what I expected at all.
Yeah.
So like I think that's why people from New York and Los Angeles don't really mesh necessarily all that well, because New York it feels more city than LA does.
Okay.
In many ways, especially like the communities or the black communities, or, well, I guess the poorer communities on the West Coast. If that makes sense, because like it feels, because even like New York, Chicago,
Yeah.
New York, Detroit, those East Coast, like, because I think it's because it's more congested,
yeah,
and it feels more communal. But like I feel like LA and Atlanta, they are kind of closer to each other. Like New York, Chicago, Detroit, even Miami feels a little bit more. And actually Miami probably a little bit more LA. But like they feel more city. Like LA doesn't feel like a city to me.
Well, because
everything feels like a suburb.
In the main city, it's like a different. That's where all the white people are making the Hollywood money and shit.
Yeah, but if
you go to Inglewood and Compton and stuff, yeah, it's like more.
It's the suburbs.
Yeah. Well, it's like residential.
Yeah,
in the dirt, in the like not dirt, but in the desert and shit.
Yeah, so like, but that's what I'm saying is like I feel like because of the way that the city is situated, because
Mm.
Los Angeles is very spread out.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so because it's very spread out, it feels more like the South, or it feels like the suburbs.
yeah.
But as I've always said, never sleep on the suburbs because those places are fucking dangerous because people don't have much to do other than fuck and kill each other.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, so it's like you have to be very, very wary of a bad area in the suburb.
yeah. I mean, it's a wild time, and this is the '90s too. This is when crack epidemic, everything like gangster life was like crazy, and very much glamorized, both in music and in just life in general out there. I mean, we open with, you know, Bobby Johnson getting out of jail, and he squirts a 40 over a cop, and I
Yep.
was like, damn, you know how many
The
bucks he don't
balls,
give?
the balls.
Yeah, he's like, oh yeah, that's Bobby Johnson. I was like, oh shit.
And it's like he's also been in prison for months
Yeah, yeah.
at
I
this
mean,
point.
he goes into prison for years after.
Well, yeah.
He only got 10 years for a murder. That's crazy.
Well, I don't think that they had necessarily all of the evidence to.
Yeah, but they were still able to get him with something. I mean,
Yeah.
it's because his boys picked up that sex worker who was an undercover cop. She's like, I'm taking all, and he had his son with him. He had a baby son. I was like, stop taking your kid everywhere, bro. I
Well,
mean, it's better than just leaving them at the house unsupervised, but not really.
but at the same time, he was like, oh yeah, just come for a ride for us, and he jumped in the car with these guys, and then they start with the bullshit. I'm like, well, guys, I have my kid with me in the
I mean,
car.
they clearly didn't care.
Yeah, obviously.
They did not care. I mean, at a certain point when what happens? He's trying to grieve in prison. He's trying to grieve over his son getting shot, and the
Mhm.
dude's like, stop fucking whining, bro. We got you." Like he's like, "Give me a moment." They're like, "No, nigga, we gonna get
Kid, are
that
you
dude."
out? Yo, chill out.
Yeah, he's just like, I'm in, I'm out then, motherfuckers. They're like, good. The Aryan boys will get in your booty hole. I'm like,
Like,
Jesus.
Jesus
Like,
Christ.
you just found out that my son, like, because I thought the kid was dead.
Yeah.
The way that dude, well, I mean, he was peeping Toming on them. Like, he was peeping Toming on them before he was going to rob the car,
Well,
steal the
the
car.
thing that helped him was the fact is that he was jumping over the fence, so he was far away.
Yeah.
So this, and he got hit with a shotgun.
Yep.
So the shotgun, those pellets spread.
Yeah.
So he didn't, if he was closer, that would have blown a hole straight through him.
Oh, yeah. You would be done.
Yeah.
And my man was like, I don't know if he was a kid, but he shouldn't have been doing what he was doing. I was like, damn. This is true, though.
Listen, I remember watching this movie when I was a kid.
I do too. I feel like if that's why I thought it was an after school thing. I think this played after school one time.
I watched this after school.
Yeah, I feel like this played on something like a wasn't like a was it UPN maybe? I remember this felt a lot longer, but I think it's because I watched it on like TV
Commercials. Yeah.
with commercials and stuff.
Commercial breaks.
Those commercial
Because this
breaks.
is a tight 99 minutes.
Well, when you watch it on Tubi, you feel those commercial breaks.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Tubi does not give a fuck about you want ad free shit. They're like, nah, nigga, we gonna make the money through the ads. We ain't fucking around with the other streaming models. um, but yeah, so you were saying you saw this as a kid.
Yeah, I saw this as a kid. And like I think the main thing that I took away from it is just like, oh yeah, gangs isn't a good idea.
But if
And
you don't have any, like he says at the end with the other gangster, he's like, we didn't have fathers growing up, and I can give my son something we didn't have, right? And I get that because when you are, and I actually, it's funny because I was talking to a friend of the show, Dan Soder. I get it. I'm talking about a white dude when we're talking about a very black movie.
yeah,
But I was talking the other day because he did a podcast where he talked about when you're abandoned by your father or your father's not in your life, that really fucks with you because you're like, I'm half of you. Like,
yeah,
the fuck that you're rejecting yourself. Like so you must hate yourself and must hate me so much that you're like, I'm not even gonna fucking bother.
yeah.
And so to know that you're also surrounded, and especially in the black community, unfortunately, you're surrounded by so many other people that feel like you, that immediately creates bonds. So then you're like, we gotta protect each other then.
Yeah.
So I get the concept of gangs. I absolutely understand that.
Well,
it's when you start killing each other, especially over some dumb shit, because there's not enough mentorship and not enough adults in the room to be like, hey, we don't have to go around killing each other because so and so talked to someone's girl or because so and so maybe said a little smart comment and you got clammed up and couldn't come back and shit. Use your words versus fucking shooting niggas and shit.
So I think
Or at least put up your dukes, you know.
stop it, stop it right now. At least put up your dukes.
That's what my papa used to say. You got to put up your dukes. Show the bully what time it is.
Okay, so
the bully did show me what time it is. It was beating Brandon uptown.
uh so I think one of the good things that this film did was kind of highlight the fact is like these gangs, they came about actually more for protection. Most gangs came about that way is because, you know, people come into your neighborhood, your block, or whatever, and, you know, they're doing fuck shit. And then people have to get together to make sure that they're not abused by, you know, the people around them, or if they, you know, wander out of their space. And, you know, part of it is, you know, white people coming to your come to your space. You know, this is 1980s, whatever, and they do wild shit. Now they're not going to think about doing that kind of shit if there's a bunch of you.
Yes.
So it was more for protection, but then it became a territorial thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like, well, this is our territory. You know, you don't come here at all. So you know, then it became this crazy toxic shit that didn't make any sense, and then it turned into money because of, you know, the drug game and everything like that.
Yeah.
Which this film very much highlights because, you know, what was yeah, the brother's name? My God,
which one?
Ray Ray. Ray, who was the basically like one of the founders of the Deuces,
yep.
Him and OG Bobby Johnson. You know, it was about, you know, hey, you know, community and all that kind of stuff, which the other gangster, like the old school gangster, was just like, you don't give a fuck about these kids. It's all about money. But it basically turned just like that gangster said, like, this is just about money and territory.
Yep.
You want the money. And then
and you're exploiting young kids and getting that shit. Yeah.
He basically turned into the same thing, if not even worse.
Oh, for sure. I mean, he actively was going after like the smart kids to be like, hey, you want to work for me, make some money.
Yeah.
You know, because
I wouldn't say he's necessarily going after smart kids. He was just going after.
Well, he was going after the eager kids for sure. Kids that were like, "I'll do whatever you need to make that money." Like
but, that's what a 10-year-old.
Yeah, but that's what Jimmy, you know, Bobby's son was all about, aka J Rock.
Yeah, because
I'll do whatever you need, Ray Ray.
Because he didn't have his father wasn't around.
In jail.
His father's in jail. Yeah,
and his mom was addicted to that smack. You know, when Bobby gets back from jail, first of all, I love that the running thing with the girlfriend was she never knew when he was getting out of prison, so she never talked to him whenever he was in prison, or she at least didn't remember when he was going to get out. So she gets out. Well, he gets out, and she's immediately dressed up because she's going to go fuck the other gangster dude, but she gets caught real quick on that.
Well, I mean, she was strung out. She was used the heroin. So
yeah.
So PCP.
Yeah, PCP. I wrote down. I was like, "Are we sure that J Rock is really Bobby's son?"
Well, all right. Here's the thing.
I was like, "Do we have a dead president situation on our hands, where it's always going to be kind of ambiguous?"
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
True. I mean, yeah. I mean, it very much could be. That case.
Yeah. Because all it takes is one nut.
That's true. But yeah, no, I mean, you are correct.
You know what I mean?
But if she was pregnant, no, because she was pregnant when they first, before he went in. But yes, I mean, listen, anything's possible.
Yeah.
Anything's possible.
Yeah, that's what I said. I mean, every time I see a picture of Jackson and Paula, I'm like, that look like that's John Legend's kid.
Brandon, don't you do that. Don't you do that.
We're just ordinary people.
We don't know. Wait, you can go back to Finland.
That'd be so fucking wild. Be like, Justin, what's your family? Oh, they back in Finland. When they coming back?
Never.
They ain't. They ain't.
John Legend could go get him. When John Legend wants to go ahead and get him, he can get him. I'm single again, motherfuckers.
He's so fucking crazy. I would definitely be sad for you for about 2 weeks and then just have to laugh. That's when you would start drinking.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's when Justin starts drinking his own fucking double spray vodka, just singing in the street like Eddie King.
I'll be running the streets looking like who's that fucking crazy dude in this film? Oh my god, what was the weird guy that was
Which one? There's some weird niggas.
well, first of all,
Old dude in the prison.
no. The guy that was part of their crew, their main crew that was on the street with them, that was obviously using drugs and things like that. Oh my god, what was that kid's the guy who told him in prison that
That J Rock was working for Ray Ray.
yeah.
I forgot. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I'm blanking on that character's name, but that's the kind of character that was the kind of person that, because I've worked with young people that are like that, that are, you know, probably because their parents did drugs and stuff like that. They're a little bit off, but you know, they're very eager to be part of a community to protect themselves because they're like, I can't, because you know, what does he say when Bobby gets abandoned by the group in the prison? He's like, I can't be alone.
Yeah.
I can't be alone in here.
Yeah.
It's like one of the saddest line deliveries in this whole fucking thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, because you know, the Aarons were trying to fuck him.
Oh yeah, thank God for the other brothers. All he had to do because then they made the Aaron brothers when the dude stepped in to protect Bobby, he was like, "Oh, I want 15 cartons of cigarettes, and he gonna do all my chores and shit." And then all he wanted in return from Bobby was to read.
Yeah, he's like, I want you to read 2 hours a day.
Mm-hmm. I was like, where do I start, sir? What do you want me to read? What book?
So Lluvia in chat said Ali. Ali was actually the Muslim guy who helped him out.
Yeah.
Character's name is Loco.
Loco.
Yeah. I mean, so yeah, they called him crazy. So it's obviously somebody who had like a mental deficiency who they kept around because they were just like, oh, he funny.
And we can make him do the crazy shit probably because, you know, he's like Papa Doc. Not Papa Doc, Cheddar Bob and 8 Mile. There's always one in the group in like a gang like that.
Yeah.
There's always that crazy nigga that's like trying to prove something.
Yes. Yeah.
But
the
yeah,
wild card, correct.
But yeah, so Bobby Johnson, Ray, they're getting the deuces up and running and shit. And they got to deal with this dealer named Jeannie Lamp, who is pretty much turning Carol, Bobby's girlfriend, out.
Yeah, slowly he's bringing her into the game.
He also doesn't he turn out Bobby? He makes him do that cocaine or the heroin.
Yeah.
He forces him to snort like.
Yeah, and then he's just like, "You tell Ray." That was a weird scene.
Yeah, because I was like, "Are they about to fuck him?"
Okay, here's the thing. The acting in this, especially the first half, is horrendous.
It's a bit rough. It's rough.
No, it's not rough. It's horrendous. It's especially like when you talk about the crew, the original crew. It's really hard to watch. Like it almost seems like vaudevillian.
Wow. I wouldn't say vaudevillian, bro.
It's like, hey, Bobby. Like, you know, there was some shit. I was watching, I was just like, ugh, yuck. The acting at some points was yuck.
Well,
now it got better, like once, like, you know, Bobby or Glenn Plummer's character is more of the focus, you know, the prison stuff. And then like once they get out and these the characters from the Deuces are a little bit more grown up and mature.
Yeah. So that's maybe where the craziness came from.
Yeah, but bro, like it was the first few scenes were fucking nuts. It was so hard to watch.
They were insane.
Because even the the gangster Jeannie Lamp, which is such a fucking weird ass fucking name to go by.
Yeah.
They call me Jeannie Lamp. That dude looked like a fucking villain from a goddamn, I don't even know.
Yeah, he looked insane.
He looked nuts.
He acted crazy too.
And then like even his dude was just like
it was a lot. It was a lot.
I was just like, what the fuck am I watching?
This movie was a lot. It was just a lot.
Honestly, Brandon, I did not remember the first part of this film.
Okay.
Like before the like most of the before the prison stuff. And watching that, made me want to turn it off.
Mm.
But I knew like the second half of I guess the second act of the film gets better because when he's in prison, yada yada yada, and then the character gets developed more.
Yeah.
But that first half is so fucking rough. It's so rough. Like it's almost as hokey as the beginning of the Malcolm X film. Just that point where Denzel and Spike Lee are walking in the zoot suits and swinging their
Oh
arms.
yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
that's, but like they're going over a specific time frame. Like the first part of this movie felt like that scene.
Okay.
Over and over and over again.
Okay. I get it. I get it. That was insane. That was pretty crazy. But I didn't think it was. I didn't think it was egregious. I just thought that the movie was just kind of. I don't want to say all over the place because it was pretty linear.
Mm.
But it for me, like just working, working with youth, and just seeing the parenting, like I just like could not fuck with it.
Fair.
Like, between the mom being strung out and then the dad but there's no role models. There's nobody around them to teach them how to do things. But at a certain age, I feel like, because I couldn't tell how old they were supposed to be. I think in the beginning, they're supposed to be in their early 20s, right? Or are they supposed to be even younger than that?
I feel like they were probably teens.
Okay. Because that was an issue for me, like trying to keep up how old they were supposed to be.
Mm.
Right. Because then it's 10 years later, obviously J Rock is older. But for me, it was like, all right, they don't really exactly have examples about how to be good parents and how to get themselves out of these circumstances. Because it didn't seem, unfortunately, like they had much education. J Rock clearly, like, he stopped going to school. So that was a thing.
Yeah.
And Bobby Johnson himself was struggling to read at the beginning. So there is a point where it's like, well, what are they supposed to do? That's something that we've had Tati's cousins brought out to us a few times where we're like giving her feedback about the way that she's going about raising the god kids and stuff. And she's like, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah, like what are my other options here?
And it does take a village to raise kids. It's not just the parents. It takes a village between the educators, between just the people that the parents associate themselves around, between the kids that the kids are surrounded by. It's a whole thing. And so when all the cards are stacked against you, it is very easy to get depleted and depressed. And that's why, probably Carol started doing drugs and stuff. But like I said, at a certain point, and this is what sucks, is because, especially when you know about Black history, is that we are very resilient. We are very strong, but we're not told that enough because our history is so diluted.
Yep.
And so it's unfortunate because there's so much power in the knowledge of what we've accomplished, not just for this country but for the world. And that's why you see some community leaders trying to instill that confidence in the communities. But it's also you're pushing a rock up a hill, a boulder up a hill, and you're trying to change systemic things that no matter how hard someone may work or try to like improve their situation. Because at the end of the day, for me, even though this kind of has a positive ending, I'm like, what's Bobby going to do?
Yeah, like
what's Bobby going to do? He has a partner. He has a partner in Carol who literally was like, I'm still going to go on my girlfriend's, even though I know you're crying. You're like distraught because our son
was taken away.
Our son's spiraling. He was taken away. He was in a foster home, and now he ran away from the foster home. The cops are looking for him. But I'd rather go out versus us as parents coming together and figure this out.
Yeah.
Because damn well, if she had gone with him probably to Ray Ray's place, that whole standoff with the guns wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there was things like that were very frustrating. And maybe it's because like I have like, very personal situations that like kind of triggered my emotional response to these scenes. But for me, it was just very frustrating because I don't think that there's a happy ending for these characters post the credits.
Fair.
And I think that's for me. It's like, then I don't know. I'm curious. I would be curious to hear from the writer director what their intentions were with this film. I know it was Stephen Milburn's Anderson's first theatrical film. It's based on a book, yeah. But I just for me, I really struggle to get an idea of what I'm supposed to take away from this movie.
Yeah, I see. I see exactly why you feel that way.
Because at least like stuff like Boys in the Hood, they like had the commentary that called out like the black, like, not. I don't want to sound like Bill Cosby, like you know what the thing with the black community, but like, you know, Boys in the Hood at least was very. It put a mirror to us as people, especially
Yeah.
in these communities, to say, "Hey, yes, things are stacked against us, but don't if you peep the game of what they're doing to impoverish us, then we can figure out how to flip it on them."
Yeah.
And shit, like I think about Lawrence Fishburne's speech at the billboard.
Yep.
Incredible. He was like, "Why do you think they put a liquor store in every corner? Because they're trying to make us kill ourselves."
Yep. It's like, or just keep you drugged
Yeah.
up or liquored up enough so you don't
Yeah.
paying attention to what's happening around you.
Yeah. Because I do get it. Like this is a redemption story of Bobby Johnson, who again kills someone in cold blood.
Yeah.
He shoots a man straight in the chest. He takes his life.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Intentionally. Even gets the little tattoo on his face. Which when that cop said, that's a do sign or someone shitting your face. I was like, Jesus Christ. But it also was very much like it could have been a slice of life kind of thing and like a redemption story, but at the same time, I'm like, but there's also very much people that might be in that situation as Bobby Johnson who don't make it out that building at the end.
Yeah.
And then I don't know what I'm trying to say. It just I really struggled with this movie because I got what it was trying to go for. And maybe at the time in 1992, 93, when it was released, it had a huge impact. And like,
that's the
but
thing.
now it's like, nah.
When I watched this in the 90s, I was probably 10.
Yeah.
Right. So I was the same age of J-Rock, at that time. And like, yeah, like
I thought you meant now. I was like, bro.
Yeah. So, and there was, bullshit happening in my neighborhood all around me. You know what I'm saying? So like, yeah, watching this as as a young kid, you something resonates with because my neighborhood, there was a lot of gangs and shit, where I was. I also think that like, especially the 90s, it was just like there's gangs everywhere.
Yeah.
So like, and because the gang lifestyle and gang culture was so big in the the 80s and going into the 90s, early 2000s, this was very necessary, and it's at I feel like it kind of does live in a time capsule.
Yeah.
Like
for sure.
Now, mind you, at the same time, gang culture is obviously still around.
Oh yeah.
But it's not as
it's not as covered in the news because of the migrant crisis and all that stuff. I feel
well, but it's not it doesn't hold as much weight as it used to, because it seems like the gangs are moving a lot smarter than they did in the past. You know what I'm saying? They've also learned it's just like, hey, what we just don't fuck with random regular people for no reason.
Yeah.
Because that only highlights us and then brings unnecessary, shit our way. So like, I think that the gangs have evolved, and like they're kind of staying away from like, little fucking kids indoctrinating at young ages. Again, it's definitely still going on, but I think it's not at the level that it was in the 90s. And part of that is because, we don't have crack and and
I mean, we still have crack.
Yeah, but
there's other stuff now.
We don't have a epidemic the way that it was back then.
No. Now we have the opioid epidemic, which gets all the press and stuff.
Yeah, but let's not even get into it.
I don't. And then all the jail stuff was kind of crazy. Like the performances there, I thought were wackadoo.
Oh well, I mean, the white dudes were wild. The Aryan guys,
those guys
they were wild,
nuts.
I want 15 cigarettes.
But at the same time, those are the kind of crazy niggas that do stuff to get them in jail.
Yeah,
for years on that because they're out of their fucking minds.
Yeah, and it's just like, let's get the business. It's like, we gonna fuck you. It's like, Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I was just like, yeah, that was
Oh, I thought that was gonna be real bad when that dude just kept punching him in the stomach, and then it was like, and now to the business. I was like, to the you tenderize him, and now you're gonna fuck him. You just these are raw niggas.
well, and there's also like, so he gets in there and he's just like, Ali comes in, he's like, it's like, are you trying to get in the middle of this? Prison rules. He's like, yeah, but you also know prison rules. That's a man.
Mm.
It's like, and you're trying to take a man. So basically trying to, turn him
Yeah, because they were gonna make him like their sex slave.
yeah.
That we own you now.
Yeah, it's like he's like you don't like he's not the guy that you do that to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now I'm gonna tell y'all now. I'm gonna tell you right now, Justin. If I get in a situation like that and niggas are trying to be like, we own you now, you are meat. I'm just gonna have to bite dicks off till I get killed. That's it. I'm just biting dicks until I die.
Fair.
I'm not going out like that. I'm just saying.
Yeah, fair.
When my man did the knee, when he kneed that tray into that dude's face, I'm like, yep, I get it.
Yeah.
Because you also can't look like a chump.
Well, yeah.
Like I get that for sure. It's like what did they say? What movie was it where it's like when you get to prison, you got to fight the baddest looking dude or some shit?
I mean, that's an old saying, and that's very flawed
Oh
way of
yeah,
thinking.
25th hour. Yeah, like I remember that's 25th hour. We should do that movie, Lluvia. We haven't reviewed it yet.
Put the list.
When Edward Norton, like he's like, I'm gonna be a bitch in there. I need you to beat me up,
Mm,
so I look crazy.
yeah.
And I was like, I don't know if this is gonna have the effect you wanted to though, because they might be like, oh, his teeth are all out.
Yeah.
Let's just fucking skull. Uh, yeah, it's not great.
Guys, you didn't have to say
I'm
it.
just saying, it's not great. Um, yeah, I was still like when J Rod gets shot, I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
I thought he was done. And then he, like the nurse and like everyone, they try to bring him, without any better words, nursing back to health and stuff. And he's still like rough, and his mom doesn't even like talk to him and shit.
Well,
That was
no,
wild.
no, but that's the thing is like nurse about, they helped rehab him,
Yeah,
right?
rehabilitate him. Yeah,
And but he was acting like a kid. But then he goes into a group home, and then the gang shit just comes right back out
yeah,
because the environment he can't survive there
yeah.
like a normal kid, because as you see immediately once the guy left the room, they started rolling up on him, so
Mm.
he had to claim his set. So like, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. And when he was like deuces, they all backed up
oh,
real
they're like,
quick.
oh shit. Oh,
Yeah. But he never got officially jumped into the game though. They just added him in because of his dad's legacy, right?
yeah, I think well, we
Because
don't
Ray
know.
Ray says like we gonna jump you in. You cool with that?
No, well, we don't know if that happened.
True.
It probably did happen. It probably
We
just
just didn't
happened
see
off
it.
screen.
Yeah, we just didn't see it.
So
Because that's
there's
not a fun thing to watch.
so there's another movie. I think it's called Colors.
Okay.
Um, I think it's called Colors. It's actually with the guy from Jamie Foxx who plays Braxton.
Got it.
He's like the main gangster for like, and he's nuts. He's nuts in that film. And part of the reason he took that film was because he felt like he was typecasted because of the Braxton character. So he just went nuts at that. But that movie, I remember that one being the one that I was just like, oh shit, no, this is fucking scary. Like in that one, like some kids, getting like a fight with somebody, and he gets shot and killed. But he gets shot and killed by like a 6-year-old holding a gun
Mm,
in like a big group of people, and it's just like what the fuck.
yeah.
So like I think we like this movie holds a lot of weight because of the time frame, but I think there are other movies out there that were a little bit more true to form, especially to that lifestyle in
Mm,
that time. I think it's that movie Colors, but that I'm speaking of. But
okay.
I don't know if the scene where the kid gets killed, because he's like fighting some kid and he has a belt. He's like swinging a belt, and then he just gets shot, and
Got it.
he's just like, it's like a 6 or 7 year old kid holding the gun.
Damn, that's crazy.
Yes, it's nuts. But the movie, with the yeah, there's a few movies out there that which are kind of South Central-esque and all that, which are really just fucking harrowing stories of just like, oh, you don't want to fuck around in this life.
Yeah, yeah, man. I got it. When I was in the suburbs, I was like, that's not the life for me. It was like when you watch a pirate movie and they're like, yo ho ho, this is the life for me. And you're like, no, it's not, sir. No, it's not. That's not. That's not it. Pirate life is so crazy. I bet you if gangsters knew what pirate life was like, they'd be like, yo, that's some gangster shit. Because pirates used to not have no teeth. They used to do mutinies all the time. They had swords instead of guns, so they were piercing niggas and shit. It was all kinds of wild stuff.
If you really think about it, scurvy, yeah.
Yeah.
But pirates were all military guys. Most pirates are actually military guys, but then once war was fought, or like they're not no longer exploring and things like that anymore, what the fuck are they gonna do?
Yeah.
And so they basically just like, yeah, you got this ship, and yeah, good luck. So then they're just like, well, we're just gonna take everything.
Yeah, I'm just gonna get this bottle of rum and yo ho ho, niggas.
Yeah, well, and then even
where to go with that?
You look at the pirates of today, which are in like some of these countries in Somalia or whatever. It's just like you have these big companies who come over there and they're fishing in their waters and they're polluting and they're just grabbing everything up, and they say, hey, this is our territory, you can't come here anymore. And then it's like, oh yeah, and then they start fucking with their ships and start going after them. Who's really the pirate here?
Oh yeah, I get it.
So I mean,
listen, don't come at me.
I'm not coming at you.
I just said a pirate's life not for me, but I get the pirate life.
Yeah.
Like if I were in charge of pirate shit and I could avoid a mutiny, oh, that would have been a dope time.
Avoid a mutiny? How you gonna avoid a mutiny?
Had a fucking parrot that would snitch on everybody and shit, and then I just start shooting niggas. I can get new niggas to the next island.
Wait, what are you talking?
Look at her. You're like, what are you? Who are you talking to? Why are you still trying to be a pirate?
Where do we get over this movie? It's like, hey man, you know what? It's like this. Pirates. Pirates. You ever get scurvy? You ever have one leg and you just put a stick in it? Pirates. What? Off the rails.
Yeah, I know. What I have this line quoted from the movie. World been showing you its booty for a long time. I think Ali said that, right? To Bobby Johnson in the prison cell, I think, when he was trying to get him to like commit to the reading and stuff like that and being a better father. Because he gave his whole soliloquy about his own field.
I'm not gonna lie, Brandon. When you said Ali, I was like, "Mom, Ali said that."
I said the world been showing you its booty all the time, and sting like a butterfly, float like a bee. I fucked up the quote. I know everything. Listen, don't yell at me. I know I fucked it up. You know what's crazy is like I did a hearing test recently. I went to the ENT doctor thinking like, I probably have some hearing issues. And that's why like I scramble out words and lyrics and probably why I turned the TV on real loud.
Dyslexia.
Listen to music real loud and stuff. I'm thinking I'm going to get a lot of answers from this test because I haven't had one since I was like a kid, right? Did the test. They're like, why are you here? I'm like, oh, I think I have some hearing issues. Like I get lyrics messed up. I'm turning up the TV. My wife is mad at me, blah, blah, blah. They do the test. And they're like, hey, your hearing's fine. I was like, ooh, this is going to cause more problems than you know. Tatu was so bad.
She was just like, so what you're saying?
This is all you.
Hearing. It's selective hearing.
Yeah, that's okay, yo.
Fair.
Bro, when the kid J Boog or J Rock was he was getting nursed back to health, and then they had the social worker come. The woman from the guy from Child Services come, ask him those questions about his mama and how he was like, "Oh yeah, mama don't feed me. Mama be strung out on that smack." And so I was like, "This kid's just talking his way into a foster." I was like, every answer he gives is just, "Does he need to be in the foster home?" Yes, yes.
Check. Away from mama. Check. Yeah,
sucked.
Yeah, I mean,
and it's sucked because, like you said, when he first gets to that home, and he like starts repping the deuces. It's like, well, why wouldn't he? since he was a baby, literally an infant, he's been around his life.
Yeah.
Because the dad was taking him every fucking where.
Yeah. Well,
you know what I mean?
Not necessarily.
But even as a baby, you can pick up all this shit. You pick up the vibes. You pick up the the body language, the language,
No.
the verbiage.
He was in prison for at least 3 years, 3 years. Bobby was in prison
At the beginning?
Yeah, because he said that my son is 3 years old. He said he was 3. That baby did not look 3.
That baby was not 3. That might have been some casting issues or something.
Yeah, but
because they probably didn't want to have a newborn around some of the shit that they were like depicting on film.
I mean, it's actually better for a newborn.
Probably.
I don't remember all the craziness. They can't have
they didn't have the budget to like do a Stanley Kubrick and think that kid was doing a romantic comedy or some shit. That's still wild, man. I would love to interview the actor that played the kid in The Shining.
It's like, yeah, so what I saw
would be like, what did you think was happening around you? Please tell me. I'm sure that kid's done interviews. I really should look that up because that's fascinating.
That must be. It's like, so when
he finally saw the movie as an adult, he's like, what the fuck was that part of?
This is what I was doing? He had an axe. I thought it was a pool noodle.
Oh man. But yeah, that was crazy. But I did write down Nurse Shelley probably saved the kid's life because if he hadn't, well, I mean, he did eventually break out of the foster home, but he probably would have been into some shit way sooner. Yeah, and probably would have ended up in jail or juvie or something like that. Yeah. Well, juvie because he was too young to go to jail.
Yeah.
But it's also in the 90s. They were just like, black men go wherever the fuck we want them to.
Yeah.
So Bobby had no contact with his son or Carolyn or Carol the entire time he was in jail for the 10 years?
Nothing about her said that she was following up.
Oh yeah, I mean when he comes home looking for his son, she's strung out. She's like, Bobby, you back? Why didn't you tell me you were coming? I would have fixed my hair, which is exactly what she said before when he got back out.
Yeah,
years before. Yeah, insane.
As she was up there, trying to get up in, trying to rub that genie lamp.
No growth. No growth. Then that cop was antagonizing him. It's like, oh, I heard that genie lamp dude had a fucking piece on him.
Which was wild.
Yeah.
Like the coroner said his dick was hard too. Like, what? Like, yo, he was really going in on this guy's fucking dick. I was like, yeah, he must have been turning out these girls. And it's like, that is fucking nuts for anybody.
I mean, he probably ain't wrong though. You got to have some swagger to be able to get, because he's going to turn them out to be sex workers for him.
Or he just had drugs.
Yeah.
He just had drugs.
Yeah.
That's probably
more than anything. Yeah. According to UVR producers' research, she said Glenn Plummer said in an interview that men have approached him and said that his speech at the end of the film caused them to get back into their own children's lives, which is wild. But at least there's some good that came from this. But that's wild that monologue about, let me be the father that we never had, and let me get him out of the cycle of violence was a lot. But at the same time, I'm just like, it sucks because what is he gonna do? He's a felon that actually committed a murder. There's not going to be many options for him to get out of the economic situation that he's currently in. And now the only thing that saves him is that he has a legacy with the Deuce, even though he's no longer affiliated with them. So he's only going to be affiliated with this gang, even though he does not do anything with them.
Yeah.
But then that also puts him in a hard place because he's always going to be kind of a target of other people. And potentially, if eventually he does run the Deuces the wrong way, like if he gets into Ray Ray's crosshairs again for some whatever reason,
then
it's a problem. You know what I mean?
How is J-Rock going to be able to disassociate himself from the Deuces, because he is in the epicenter of all of that. Yeah. All his little friends, they're all in the Deuces. You know what I'm saying? Or they're all like, they glamorize that.
Yeah.
So like, how's he going to pull away from that and be able to live a normal life? Like, bro, that is such an uphill battle. Like, literally his only option, he has to take his family and he has to move them out of there.
Which is what he tried to do after he killed Gypsy or
Genie Land. But here's the other thing: because he just got paroled, he cannot move out of there. He can't go anywhere. And that's the thing that a lot of people like if you're on parole, wherever you come out, nigga, you gotta be at that place.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because they need to know where you are all the fucking time until you're now off parole, and then you can kind of, move around. But like, yeah, you're kind of fucked. And like, my little brother was on parole. He did, some prison time. Let me tell you guys, if you've never gotten to the fucking system, just never get into the system.
Yeah.
Because the moment you do, you are set up to be fucked over. And like they're looking for any opportunity to lock your ass up again.
Oh yeah.
So, and it's like, and like just watching my brother go through all that shit, and I'm just like, they really, it's really just a setup to get you back. It's really a setup to get you
I
back.
want you back. That's what the prison guards.
Oh, baby. Yeah. I just imagine the fucking well, it's wild because now I'm thinking of that fucking Tubi movie. The parole officer from,
yeah, All I Want Is You Part 2.
Yeah. It's like imagine her singing that song. It has a completely different meaning though.
Folks, listen to our Patreon series with the All I Want Is You movies. Wow. There's 2 of them.
Yeah,
and we had to do them back to back, and that was a nightmare.
But yeah, like it's hard to move on with life.
Yeah.
Because the way the system is set up, you are kind of stuck in it. Like you really have to, remove yourself from everything.
Yeah.
And that's the only way. Like he has to move his family elsewhere. But the wife, you think she's going?
No, for sure not.
And then do you
and then you got to deal with the separation of the mom with the son. It's a lot.
Well, but to tell you the truth, that's probably the best thing for him.
Oh yeah, for sure.
For all parties involved.
Well, I mean,
she doesn't want him anyways.
Yeah, that's very obvious. Yeah.
So, but then what is OG Bobby Johnson? How's he going to get a job?
That's what I've been saying.
Yeah, he's a felon.
I mean,
he's a 2-time felon.
He can get a job. It's going to be very limited in regards to the options he has, and then it's not going to pay that much.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you're killing yourself to death working this job that you probably don't like, and you're trying to keep your son afloat and on the straight and narrow, and you're struggling to get by. It's the cycle of poverty.
Yeah,
that's the reason why people eventually are like, I'm going back to drug dealing and shit, or I'm going back to the gangster life and shit, or I'm going back to doing some other criminal shit.
Yeah, or they graduate to doing other stuff.
But then like white collar people, they get to do that shit all the time and get to redo it. Yep. Adam Newman recently in the news was like, I want to buy WeWork back. This nigga just destroyed everything and got away with billions of dollars after destroying people's lives. And starting a cult where people were so committed that when they got laid off, they had no idea what to do. They were broken. Man, I was just talking to somebody that I used to work with the other day about it. That was a wild time, man. Yeah. I think we should review the documentary on Hulu just so I can go in depth about that experience.
The context.
I'm not under a contract or NDA or anything anymore. Yeah. I was my first year after I got laid off because of the severance and stuff, but now we could talk about it. So, Lluvia, it's just called WeWork, like Hulu documentary. So we can just add to the list. But yeah, because that was a wild time, and there's definitely some fun times that I had.
Yeah,
being there, especially like with the budget I got to work with. Yeah, I took my team to go Brooklyn Bowl. I rented out 2 lanes when Questlove was DJing. The white people didn't know about that.
Yeah,
but I knew about that. I peeped that real quick. I was like, "Hey, I can book this," and they were like, "Yeah." I'm like, "At this time?" They're like, "Yeah." I'm like, "While he's playing?" They're like, "Yeah." What's the problem? Why do you keep asking so many questions? Just give him the money.
Do it. Exactly what happened. Okay. This kind of money. Wait, what kind of budgets were they giving?
Dude, I had like what was it, like $100 an employee a month to spend. And I had a big team. So at the time when I was running the Manhattan campus, I had like a team of over 30 people. So I had like thousands of dollars to work with.
Okay.
and I used it. But the plus side was it didn't. It actually was under the radar for quite a while because other managers didn't do anything. So they
Yeah.
didn't even realize that their team building budget was like crazy because I was the only one using it.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I guess that's why my team liked me so much because I was like, actually, hey, I actually like spending time with you all, so I'll put these things together, and you
Mm.
all work really hard and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, that's why.
yeah.
That's why.
But all right, man. I don't know where else to go with this. This does have 100% score around tomatoes.
It does?
Yeah, yeah. It does. Yep. And while and going back to the trivia real quick, you found while Hoover Deuce are a fictional gang, they're actually a parody of the real Hoover Crips criminal gang in South LA.
Okay.
Okay, that's that's interesting. I mean, that makes sense as to why like immediately hearing Deuce struck fear in those kids
Yeah,
at
yeah,
the foster home and shit.
yeah.
We did get one Patriot thought, and folks remember if you sign up at Patreon at patreon.com/medium popcorn, you're guaranteed to have your thoughts and reviews of the film we're going to be talking about on the episode read during that episode. So we had Justin Rich who wrote very good movie, like Glenn Plummer's acting, and a movie that aged well, even though it didn't get a lot of love during the time. Few flaws, but it's the 90s, large popcorn. So Justin, having said that, break down our rating system, baby.
All right, guys, you know how we do is we rate movies bags of popcorn, small, medium, large, and the XL for the exceptional. If a film doesn't deserve any popcorn, we throw it into the dog shit pile. We pile piles and piles of dog shit atop of it. So, Brandon, we sat down and we watched South Central, a 1990 film, 1990 film, Jesus Christ, a 1992 film starring Glenn Plummer and Carl Lumbly. What say you, sir?
Yeah, so this gets a small. And I know that that might be egregious for some people listening. This gets a small. It is very tight. It's like 100 minutes. But again, I was kind of unclear as to what the moral of the story was supposed to be. You in the chat posited that maybe it's supposed to be like the glamorous take on like this gangster life and stuff like that. Possibly. But while there are some solid performances, particularly Glenn Palmer, who gets shouted out a lot, I was left very much like with a empty feeling in my stomach. And I just didn't really, and again, because maybe I know a lot of people that are in similar situations, maybe not with the gang related stuff, but just like this cyclical situation, it just was very depressing at the end of the day, even though the ending's supposed to be somewhat uplifting. And like you said, the prison stuff was a bit wonky. It gave me very much like parody of Blood In, Blood Out vibes at times
Mm.
from a filmmaker standpoint. Um, and I just really kind of found myself drifting off a little bit sometimes. Um, yeah, it was a lot, and I do think the kid that played Christian Coleman, as much as he tried with the role of J Rock, it wasn't the best child performance. So yeah, small. It's not dog shit, but it's small. Justin, what about you?
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a small as well. I think the performances really hurt this. Plummer, there's only so much that he could do
Mm,
because he was really acting with a lot of like, you know, actors that were not in his range.
yeah,
So
including in Showgirls.
yeah, well, that's a different movie. But like even so, like I'd say Glenn Plummer and Byron Keith Mims, who played Ray Ray, they were kind of the best actors
Mm,
in this film.
yeah.
Everyone else played kind of caricatures, you know, and it just didn't come across very well. Even Miss Vicklin Reynolds, who played Willie's wife, like she wasn't terrible. She wasn't terrible, but it was I don't know, like I didn't believe her,
Mm,
which is weird. Which also me saying it wasn't a terrible acting job,
yeah.
but like it wasn't the best. So like and that's where it really comes down. And I think that because especially the beginning and then the prison and then some of the hokey prison stuff, but this movie really leans on that third act.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, that speech at the end that Bobby gives to Ray Ray, like, yeah, that is like the meat and potatoes of this film and everything. Um, but yeah, I don't think it was necessarily enough to give this anything higher than a small for me.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Uvia did want to point out though in her trivia that she found in regards to IMDb reviews that this is the first time she ever saw a movie that had no reviews below stars on IMDb.
Okay.
So it's very well liked from an
Yeah.
audience standpoint. But like you and I said, maybe there's something we're just missing. I don't know. And I prefaced that at the beginning. There might be something from our backgrounds that just
Yeah.
makes it difficult for us to digest this,
Well, I
even
mean,
though
but we're also watching this, what, 30
30
years
years
later.
later, yeah.
We're watching it 32 years
That
later.
we have like actual memory of like and cognitive ability to like break this down versus like when we were kids, like, what are we watching?
Yeah. Yeah. So like it's
Because trust me, if I was like around 10, 11, when like you said when I was watching this, I probably was only just like, when can I say Carol again? You know what I mean? Like I'm probably just like, where's that cute black arrow again? I like the way she looked in that dress.
a fucking mess.
I was a mess. I was such a like, I forgot how much of a horn dog in the 90s I was. When I saw Reba McEntire at the Super Bowl, I was like, I used to be into Reba McEntire. I used to be into Shirley Ralph. I was a crazy fucking little kid.
You were into Reba McEntire?
Bro, I'm still am. Did you see her at the Super Bowl?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, man. Did you not watch the Super Bowl?
I watched the Super Bowl. I wasn't watching fucking Reba.
She was singing at the beginning.
Let me see.
All right. Well, folks, as always, you can follow me at Frodo_Blackens on Threads and Instagram. That's primarily where I'm at these days. You can follow the show, Medium P Podcast, on all social media platforms. And Justin, if you want to support the show as well as follow you, what can they do, sir?
Guys, you can follow me at J Brown Did It on the socials. But you can follow this show, support the show at patreon.com/medium popcorn. We got $2, $5, $10, and $15 packages. Guys, if you love this show, you want to see this show grow more and more and more, go to Patreon because our entire backlog is on Patreon. We have so many bonus episodes. Like Patreon is where you need to be. Again, that's patreon.com/medium popcorn. And you are right. So I forget that Reba McEntire, was and is a piece.
Mm-hmm.
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 Yep.
Mm-hmm.
There you have it, folks. All right. I love how we ended South Central by talking about a white woman, but
Yep.
that's
Yep.
what sometimes happens here at Medium Popcorn, everybody.
Yep. Yep.
We messes, but we do our best. We do our best. All right. Until the next time, y'all. Peace.